Hey guys, Spire here. Today, finally with the new design for the Wither Ripper that we designed for the ZipKrowd survival server. As you probably saw in the intro and in the latest server tour, this new design uses ghasts for the spawning floors and also for the funneling mechanism. So it's very resource friendly and it doesn't use a single piston, so that's really great. The most tricky part about the farm is of course to get the ghasts in a minecart and rename them. In total we used 20 gas, so this will probably take a while, but it's nothing compared to the amount of work you would need to set up a piston pushing setup. I will split this tutorial into two parts. In the first part I will cover the spawn floor with the gas setup, the main clock and also the small little shifting floor down there to get them drop all from the same height. And the second part will cover the mob sorting system, so if you want to use this in your own world, then you should check out the second video as well. But before we start with the actual tutorial, let's start with important facts about the farm. Okay, the first important note about this farm is that the sorting system is developed for 1.8 and it will not work reliably in 1.7. There are different reasons to that, because in 1.8 the suffocation point of wither skeletons and zombie pigments changed, and also in general the behavior of mobs changed quite a bit. Another fact why this system will not work reliably in 1.7 is because the wiring is not spawn proof for magma slimes in 1.7, because for instance right here a small magma slime could spawn because it sees this transparent block and doesn't prevent it from spawning, but in 1.8 it will. So if you build this farm, keep that in mind, that the sorting system will only work in 1.8 probably, and the rest of the farm will just work fine. So you can use the spawning floor with the funneling mechanism. You shouldn't expect any problems from that. Okay, now that we covered that, I would say we find the fortress and start with the building part. If we want to build this farm, we are looking for two intersections right next to each other. Another fortress intersection is basically what you can see right here. Two walkways crossing each other. This area will give us quite a big bounding box where wither skeletons will spawn. Of course, this intersection is not enough, since we are looking for two right next to each other. But I found a double intersection right over there. So as you can see, I've already marked some things, because we now need to mark down the bounding box of the wither fortress area that we are in, so basically the intersection. An intersection has a bounding box of 19 by 19, so the x and z coordinate. So we take the center of the intersection, that would be right here, and then we go out 9 blocks in each direction. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we do the same thing for the other directions. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now if we do the same thing for this and this direction, we can connect it and we should end up with a 19 by 19 area. So what's also important is that we mark down the spot where wither skeletons can still spawn below us. For that we dig down 5 blocks, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the block we are standing on, wither skeletons are still able to spawn. Now we do the same thing for the other intersection and we will end up with a 19 by 38 area where wither skeletons can spawn. Now, what's also important about wither skeleton farms is that you remove any other spawning spaces for other mobs around the farm. So as you can see, there is a huge area where mobs can spawn, and we need to prevent that. You can either light the netherrack on fire, you can cover it with lava, or you can cover it with slabs to prevent other mobs from spawning, or you do the same thing we did on the ZipKrowd survival server and just remove everything around the farm. The more you remove, the better your farm will work, and to make the farm work reliably and fast, you have to remove at least 99.9% of all the other spawning spaces. So it's a project that will take you a while. It's not something you will do in the first few days of your server. Yeah, now that we've marked down our double intersection, I guess we can start with the building process. As you can see, I removed everything in around a 300 by 300 area around the center of the farm. Center would be around here. And I've marked down the 19 by 38 by 5 block area. Also, this side is already 1 block shorter because I prepared something, and as you can see, if this would be the normal walkway we would stand on in the Nether Fortress, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks, and then we place the first packed ice for the spawning floor setup. Keep in mind that you place the first packed ice not right underneath this line that you drew, rather than 1 block away. And now it's pretty simple what we have to do. We just alternate packed ice and cobble walls. Keep in mind you have to use packed ice, since on normal ice no mobs can spawn. And we do that until we reach again the lower end of the other line. Then we start underneath one of the first packed ice and place a redstone block with a powered rail on top, leave a gap of 1 packed ice, and then do the same thing again. Now we go 1 block up, and diagonal to each packed ice we place another packed ice, and on the outside we place another cobble wall. Then in between here we leave a gap so that there's air, and keep on placing packed ice. Now again we go up diagonally so that we can place another redstone block right on top of the first and place a powered rail on top. And we repeat that for the other 5 railways where the gas will travel on. Then fill the gaps with some solid blocks, and right at the outside put a slab on top of the solid block. Do that for both sides. Now place again packed ice on top of the powered rail, and then we repeat the same pattern pretty much. So a cobble wall, packed ice, cobble wall, packed ice, and we do that for the rest of it. So you should end up with something like this, and then we do the last 2 layers. So again, go up diagonal, leave a gap of 1 block, and place packed ice with air blocks in between, and a cobble wall at the end of it on both sides. And the last thing we do is just go up again 1 block, leave 1 air block gap in between, and place some slabs on top so no mobs can spawn on there. So, and that's now what we have to do for the whole area that we want to cover. So we stack this 38 times, but we will actually keep a gap in the center right here. This gap has to be 3 blocks, but the center is of course only 2 blocks wide, so we have to go 1 block in either this direction or this direction. So those 3 blocks have to be air, so don't fill them in with packed ice and the rails. But now just copy this design and stack it this way. If you did everything correctly, you should end up with an 18 block long section and a 70 block long intersection. Now we finished the inner part of this farm. For that we remove all the redstone blocks and powered rails that are close to the center and replace them with 2 solid blocks on top of each other. So if the gas travels in this direction, it will bounce back because it collides with those blocks. Do the same thing for the upper part, like so, and also place solid blocks on top of this line of blocks that you can see right here. For the other side as well, connect those, and that's the first part done. Now we connect the outer border. For that we place again some solid blocks, cover it with slabs so that no mobs can spawn. Then we connect the cobble wall like so for the line of walls that's 1 block further in, and the other one we connect just straight. Then the upper part, and I forgot the cobble wall right here. Just do it very quickly, like so. And then we do the same thing for the lower thing. I will mirror it later on for the other side as well. So, as you can see at the moment, there is actually a chance that when a mob falls down here, it will land on top of this slab. To prevent this, we place a solid block right here, or any other scaffolding block, and a fence gate right next to it, and then we open it. And as you can see now, the wall became a full 1 by 1 by 1.5 block, and then we can remove the lower block. So we do that pretty much for this entire area that I marked down right here, so that we place fence gates and open them. Then we can remove the scaffolding, and that's the first row of fence gates done. Also, what we need to do is we need to prevent mobs from dropping down over here and then jumping over to the other side, and for that we just place again a row of cobble wall right in the center. This will later on then connect with this row. We do the same thing for up here, so we place cobble wall and then place the fence gate by just having a scaffolding block right here and placing then the fence gate. Also do it for the other side as well, so right here, this line, and open them all. Now comes the easy part. For that we just build a central line of solid blocks right here and connect it to the upper part, and then cover it with slabs, so again no mobs can spawn, and this should prevent mobs from jumping around. So, and as you probably already thought correctly, we do the same thing for those blocks, so we cover those with slabs, make the gap very small so that not even a magma cube can fall through it, and then a cobble wall right here, and connect it. Do that for this side as well, and stop right at this lowest level, because for this one it's a little special. So I will quickly do that off camera and then I will be... So as you can see, I've finished the upper part and also prepared the lower part. The lowest level is pretty much like the level above, but we leave a gap wherever wherever you can see a line of cobble wall, and only place a cobble wall when there's packed ice. And then you fill in all the other air blocks at this level with open fence gate, so that the cobble wall gets its full hitbox. So if you are done with it, we can start with the vine setup, so that the mobs don't take fall damage when they fall down there. For that we place solid blocks underneath the cobble walls that are floating in the air, and 2 additional scaffolding blocks right underneath those. We find the central one by taking a look at the redstone line. There's the central redstone line, 2 to this side, 2 to this side, and then we place 3 vines on both sides and remove the lower blocks. We go to the pillar to the left, place some vines and remove the blocks below, and we do that for this side as well, but don't do it for the last row. You can remove those scaffolding blocks again. Repeat it for the other side as well. So 2 vines that are floating in the air by removing the scaffolding block, and that's one part of the vine setup done. Now we fill in the gaps right here with solid blocks, like so, and do that for pretty much the whole farm setup right here. Okay, now we go down an additional block and place string right underneath the vines, so they don't grow anywhere else. Now we need a bit of glass. I will use black stained glass and place it right next to the string. Only place it where there's an air block above, so that we will end up with a 19 block long line of glass. Do that for both sides again. And then after we finish that, pretty much, now we place also string on top of those glass blocks. We will later use this string right here for a tripwire setup to push all the mobs down in the central trench. Do it for the other side as well. String on top. And then when we get that, we place the last row of vines. For that, one vine over here, one vine below, one vine up, and then a whole row of vines, one block underneath the packed ice. And then we do the same thing for the other side, so we put some blocks over there. And then we finish it by placing the last vines on the other side. So that's now the vine setup, and we can start with the first bit of redstone in this. Okay, now we do a bit of redstoning, but before we do that, we remove those 3 blocks of redstone blocks and replace them with solid blocks so that they don't interfere with our wiring. So let me quickly do that. Okay, now that we get that, we place the first row of sticky pistons right at this position, facing towards the glass block with 1 block of air in between. And we do that for pretty much every single air block. It has to be a sticky piston. And now you can see why we removed the redstone block up here, because it would butt power this sticky piston and therefore interfere. And then we do the same thing for the other side. So place a sticky piston facing inwards with a 1 block gap in between. Okay, and then we can fill in this upper part with some solid blocks, like so. Do it for the other side as well. And then leave a gap where the string is, right here. Go 1 block out and place 2 solid blocks on each side with a tripwire hook right on top of it. Glass block underneath, and do it for the other side as well. So 2 solid blocks with a tripwire hook and glass below. So as you heard, the tripwire hook is now connected. So it will give off a redstone signal. For that we place a redstone dot right in between those 2 tripwire hooks, going into this solid block, feeding 2 repeaters going outwards, feeding a solid block with a comparator in front of it, right click it so that it's on subtraction mode, place some blocks like so, with redstone dust on in front of the solid block, repeater on 4 ticks, and redstone dust right next to the comparator. Now we do it for the other side as well. So comparator, subtraction mode with 2 solid blocks diagonally, redstone dust, repeater, and redstone. Now we of course need to do it for the other side as well. So redstone dust, feeding a block, going into the 1 tick repeater, and then we do it again. Okay, now we connect those clocks with the sticky pistons. For that we place a torch at the side of the block right next to the 4-tick repeater, and then we place a block of a row of solid blocks, and then redstone dust on top, and they all will extend like so. Do the same thing for the other side. Torch, line of blocks have to be solid, and then redstone on top. Like so. And if we now step on the tripwire, you can see they will start funneling all the mobs into this 1 by trench. To prevent them from falling through like this, we place glass underneath the glass. For the other side too. And then some solid blocks right underneath this row. Okay, now we build a really small shifting floor setup. For this we go out like 1 block away from the row of solid blocks that we just placed, and place a row of normal pistons facing inwards, and then we do the same thing for the other side, like so. Then again diagonal to the solid block we place another normal piston and a row of normal pistons. And then we fill in 2 of those spots with glass, like so. And those 2 piston setups will now shift this floor of glass so that all the mobs will fall through and drop from the same height. For the next step we place a row of solid blocks right behind those normal pistons with redstone on top. Also, to make this redstone spawn proof, place some solid blocks right on top of the redstone, and then do the same thing for the other side. So again, solid blocks right behind the normal pistons with redstone on top, like so, and then solid blocks on top. Find the center of this line right here and place a 4-tick repeater on each side. So over here 4 ticks, and then 1 block further this direction, solid block behind, going into a 4-tick repeater, torch on top, block, torch. And then we do the same thing for the other side. Solid block, a little torch tower so that it's double inverted, and a 4-tick repeater right here. We place some blocks right behind the repeater and connect redstone to it. And this will be the connection to our main clock that we build in the next step. Now we will build the main clock that's responsible for the gas and the sorting system later on. For that we place a solid block in front of the redstone wire that we just placed. Go out another block diagonally with a repeater facing into the block, and then 2 repeaters facing into this repeater. So this creates a little falling edge detector, and we do the same thing for the other side. So repeater facing into the block, then 2 repeaters, and then redstone right here, solid block in front of this redstone, and actually we need a furnace right underneath this redstone, and fill 1 item in this furnace and then place redstone on top. Also we place a solid block right here with a comparator facing into it, and then a solid block in front of the comparator. So then we place a sticky piston facing this direction, and then leave a 2-block gap, like so, with another sticky piston facing in this direction. You can place one redstone block on either this or this side, and then two hoppers facing into each other. So we are building now an ether hopper timer. Comparator feeding into a solid block with redstone at the sides. For now we should stop the timer so that it doesn't interfere with us building, so just place a solid block with a lever underneath and then put in 9 items in this hopper. So that's the main wiring for the upper part done, and we can start building the holding cells for the ghasts. The ghast holding cell setup is really simple. Just extend the row of power rails one more block, like so, and then some solid blocks behind those with a one block gap in between those two power rails, and then fill the gap in with a normal rail, like so. Then we connect those holding cells with a line of blocks. Place a solid block behind the power rail, and then a 3-tick repeater going into the solid block powering the power rail. Place a redstone torch right in the center here, and then connect the rest of it with redstone. Do it for both sides, and that's actually one holding cell done. Now we make everything spawn proof by placing solid blocks on top of the blocks we just placed, like so. And then we go up another torch, another block with another torch, and then we do pretty much the same thing for the upper layer as well. So extend the line of redstone blocks for one block, place a power rail on top, normal rail, power rail, and then do the same thing for the rest. Okay, and now we again do the same thing. So we connect the power rails and place some solid blocks behind them. Now we only place a single tick repeater and redstone dust along this line, like so. To make it spawn proof again, place solid blocks on top, and then as you can see, mobs could spawn over here, so we just place another row of solid blocks right here, connect it to the torch tower, and do it for the inner stripes. And now 2 more layers, and connect it like so. This makes sure we get a really high air block efficiency, since we are not blocking any air spaces with this. So now we need to do one last step, and that's placing some cobble walls right here so that we don't push mobs out in this direction. Over here we just place a solid block right on top of the rail. Then we do the same thing over here. So some walls, and we go 1 block in. Okay, and there we go. We have finished the first gas holding cell. And what you have to do now is just mirror this for the other side. So do the same thing, just go out one block with a powered rail on top, leave a gap for normal rail, and then powered rail on right next to it. Then 3 tick repeaters, 1 tick repeaters, little torch tower. Make it spawn proof and prevent mobs from going out the wrong direction. So if you finish this, we can do the very last step, and then I show you how to get the gas in the cells, and you successfully finished your first gas riddle ripper. Now we can do the last few finishing touches. For that we find this torch tower that we've made earlier, place another redstone torch right next to the solid block, cover this top part with some blocks, and place another redstone torch at the end of the gas holding cells. Then another row of solid blocks and place redstone on tops to connect this redstone torch with the one right there. Of course, this is longer than 15 blocks, so we just place a repeater somewhere in the middle and do the same thing for the other side. So again, torch at the side, place some solid blocks underneath the redstone blocks, one block down, another torch, and all the way back. Redstone on top, and somewhere in the middle we place a repeater, like so. Now we should also make the wiring a bit more, well, clean and also prevent mobs from spawning in there. To do that we just fill in pretty much everything with solid blocks like so. Also on the redstone wire some blocks to make sure no mobs spawn on there. And then just fill pretty much everything in here with blocks like so. Blocks on top of the clocks. Make it all clean. And again on top of the redstone. And another row on top of the previous row. Fill in those gaps and pretty much do that for every single air block that you can find in the wiring to really make sure that no magma cubes are spawning. So let me finish this and then we come to the last part of this tutorial, and that's to get the gas in the holding cells. Okay, let's come to the last part of this tutorial, and that's getting the gas into the holding cells, and that's actually pretty simple. Of course, at first you have to catch a gas. There are different ways to do that. You can either use an AFK catcher on top of the nether, or you just use a fishing rod and catch the gas this way. If the gas is then in the minecart, you can rename him. So simply use a name tag that's renamed, go inside the gas and click it. It's very important that you do it from the inside of the gas, because otherwise there's a little glitch that he doesn't get renamed properly and then he will despawn, and we don't want that. To keep the gas from shooting you, just place a row of blocks 2 blocks above the rail so that you can walk underneath, and he will not see you if you're on survival. I will demonstrate this in a few seconds. And also we have to prepare some other things. First, again, remove the blocks that you placed earlier right on top of the lowest powered rail so that the gas can fall down. So when it hits this block, it will just fall down. And also what we need to do is power this line of redstone so that all the powered rails in this area are powered and the gas starts traveling from the one to the other side. That makes it easier to place those blocks back afterwards. It's also very handy to have a jump boost 2 beacon, because you can then just simply jump on top of the blocks without scaffolding, so that's nice to have. And yeah, I would say we quickly do it in survival. So switch to game mode. Then we can send off the gas that's renamed. It will fall down, is then in position. Then we can jump down, he will not see us, and then we just place the other blocks until we hit the next power rail, place it again, and leave the gap open for the next gas. So, what we would do now is simply send off a second gas, do exactly the same thing, jump down again, place the blocks, and then move to the next holding cell. And by doing that, you fill in all the gas, and afterwards you're done with one set of holding cells. You can remove the lever again, and the gas will stop right at this position. If all the gas are in position, your farm should look like this. And that's also pretty much the end of this tutorial. Now your farm is completed. At the end, some more informations. For instance, I will link you in the video description to a video for an AFK gas catcher, so that will make your life probably a little bit easier. Also, later on I will provide you with the second part of this tutorial, which pretty much covers then the mob sorter down below here. But that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions, ask them in the comments and I will reply to them. But for now, I'm out. I hope you enjoyed it. See you all later.